Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit more shorter-term technical analysis on Bitcoin, because in the last 24 hours or so, as you can see, Bitcoin has rallied here. It's rallied about 6%, and actually looks like it's about to come up here and break the all-important downtrend of resistance that constitutes the top of this bull pennant that Bitcoin has found itself in here over these last couple of weeks. And guys, this is a very major development, because if Bitcoin does break bullish here, that means that this rally that we've been on for the last 100+ days since February the 8th of this year is continuing, and we may be seeing Bitcoin go to new yearly highs above $8,400. In today's video, we're going to be discussing whether or not this is actually going to lead to a bullish breakout, and if so, what that bullish breakout will look like for Bitcoin. Guys, there's a lot that we need to go over in today's video, not just technical analysis. We also need to talk about how Facebook and AT&T, two major names that I know you are familiar with, are stepping into the cryptocurrency space. A lot of bullish news in today's video. We're going to be getting to all of that and more in today's video, but before we do, I do want to ask you to go ahead and smash that like button if you enjoyed this video. I know you guys did yesterday, and that like button had a trip to the emergency room because of how hard you smashed it. Do that again. Let's do that every single day. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be updated every time a new video goes out. But without much further ado, guys, let's go ahead and get right on into it. The first thing that I'd like to discuss is exactly what has gone on here over these last 24 hours or so. As you guys can see, Bitcoin has rallied quite substantially over these last 24 hours. Ever since I recorded yesterday's video, Bitcoin was trading down here around $7,600 when I recorded yesterday, and actually started a bit of a rally just as that video was going up. And ever since then, Bitcoin's been moving to the upside. As you guys can see, it looks like Bitcoin may be topping out right now. We're going to be talking about all of that, but the point here is that Bitcoin has rallied up to this downtrend of resistance once again. And there's something I want to point out that I point out quite often when we discuss these types of longer term patterns, these types of pennants. They're normally consolidation patterns, but this happens around any level of support and resistance. And that is just how much Bitcoin has traded against the resistance rather than the support. I've used this to predict breakouts of support and resistance and breakouts of pennants dozens of times to good effect. And what I mean by this is that Bitcoin is spending most of its time on the resistance. If we were to draw a center line through this pennant right here, you can see that the vast majority of Bitcoin's price action has happened above it. It's happened up here towards the resistance, not towards the support. The vast majority of Bitcoin's trading has happened up here towards the resistance. And what that means is that Bitcoin is being drawn to the resistance. Why is it being drawn to the resistance? Why is it testing it over and over again? Because the bulls are strong, guys. We just started a bull market. People are excited. They're buying up Bitcoin, and they're pushing us against that level of resistance. You have some very major bears that are selling and rejecting us time and time and time and time again. But that's okay, because as I've talked about in previous videos, and as I'll show you here again, whenever Bitcoin goes up and tests a level over and over and over and over and over again, eventually it's going to break. I always like to use this time back over here in July of 2018, where Bitcoin was coming up here and testing $7,600. Let's go to the 2-hour chart. It's going to take a second to get to it. But back over here in 2018, Bitcoin would go up and test that level of resistance over and over and over and over and over again. Bitcoin tested it, I think, something like 10 times, and we finally did break it. If we look here, Bitcoin came up to this level of resistance over and over and over again. Bitcoin ran once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times actually, 7, 8, 9. It took Bitcoin 10 tries to get above that level of resistance. But guess what? After it did, Bitcoin ran another $1,000. After Bitcoin got above that level of resistance, there's another 12% rally. That's nothing to scoff at. That was a major run. And that's what we're talking about here when we look at Bitcoin's chart at the moment. Bitcoin has come up and tested this level of resistance time and time and time and time again. You count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Almost 10 times Bitcoin's come up and tested this. If Bitcoin wasn't going to break bullish, then why have we tried so many times? There's a principle that I talk about in CT2A where I discuss levels of support and resistance. I'm not going to get too much into this because that's what the course is for, but in the support and resistance video, I discuss the strength of support and resistance. Actually, in that video, excuse me. I talk about how if you come up and test a level of resistance once or twice or 3 times, then that means that's a strong level of resistance. But after you come up here a 4th time, something special happens. That level of resistance starts getting weaker instead of stronger. The strength goes like this, and then it starts going down after the 4th test. It starts getting weaker and weaker and weaker, because all of these 3 times you're like, okay, well, Bitcoin is very clearly getting rejected. The resistance is clearly very strong. But after you've tested a 4th time, that something special does happen. You start asking, Why is Bitcoin still testing this resistance? Why haven't we fallen down into a new downtrend yet if that level of resistance is indeed so strong? And when you've come and tested a level of resistance 10 times, let alone 4, then that means that that's a very, very, that there are very strong bulls in the market, and that the level of resistance may too be very strong, but that the bulls may end up overpowering that level of resistance and actually breaking through it. That's a very important concept, and one that may lead to a bullish breakout here in the next couple of days. One thing I do want to point out is that just because we're looking bullish on Bitcoin does not mean that this movement right here is going to actually be the bullish breakout. By the time this video is uploaded and edited, recorded, uploaded, everything, this Bitcoin very well may be trading at $8,500, or it may be trading down at $7,700. A lot can happen in the 2 hours it takes to get this video out. But during that time, whatever happens, we're going to be discussing all of those scenarios in today's video. Moving on from there are some other technical indicators I want to show you guys. One of them would have to do with the VPVR. You guys may be familiar with the volume profile. This is a very, very powerful technical indicator that I'm quite a big fan of, and I've been using to quite good effect here over these last couple of weeks. Basically what this shows, these bars over here show where resistance is. I'm not going to get into all of it. It basically shows where the majority of trading is. As you guys know, Bitcoin came down to $6,000 a lot, and so there's a bunch of resistance around $6,400 or so because there was a bunch of trading in this zone over here. But as you guys can see, in between $8,400 right here, all the way up to about $10,000 right here, there's not a whole lot of trading going on. There's just a tiny little bit back over here and then a little bit back over here in the market. There's not a lot of resistance. There's not a lot stopping us from going straight to $10,000. And that's one of the things I want to talk about. We're going to get back to the levels, the technical indicators. We're going to get back to some more things I want to show you guys in a minute, but I do also want to talk price targets here. If Bitcoin does break bullish out of this bull pennant, there's a couple ways that we can price target it. One way is through the traditional method of just using a flagpole like this. That would be where you draw the flag to right there, and then extrapolating out from here. That puts Bitcoin going to $11,000. I'm not convinced that Bitcoin's going to break $10,000 on this rally. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. That's why you very rarely see me use pennant price targets like that, because I really don't like how inflexible they are. What I instead like to do is look for where a logical level of resistance would be, and a logical level of resistance for a new rally breaking bullish out of a pennant this big. That's important. This is a very big pennant, so you would expect a very big breakout to come from it. I would expect Bitcoin from here to rally somewhere between $9,000 and $10,000. That's where I think Bitcoin will go if we break bullish. I think we'll at least set a new yearly high above $8,400, and we'll break this previous level of resistance over here. And then Bitcoin will end up somewhere in this zone between 9 and 10K. That's what I think is going to happen. It seems like a lot of you guys think that as well, because I've seen dozens of you guys say that in the comment section down below. So there's our price target. I figured we'd go ahead and get that out of the way before we dive into some more bullish technical indicators. One of the bullish technical indicators I want to show you guys actually has to do with the candlesticks. It'd be Heikin-Ashi. I mentioned Heikin-Ashi and how Bitcoin was red on the Heikin-Ashi yesterday, so I think it's only fair that I mention Heikin-Ashi and how Bitcoin has turned green on the Heikin-Ashi. As you guys know, Heikin-Ashi is a very good technical indicator. It's a very good candlestick type when we're looking at rallies and downtrends for Bitcoin. It's very good at weeding out noise in that aspect, but it's not the best when Bitcoin's trading sideways. And Bitcoin has been trading sideways here for these last couple of weeks, and we've seen a lot of changes in the Heikin-Ashi, a lot of red, a lot of green, and a lot of back and forth. But we have turned green now, and so far there's no bottom wick on this green candlestick, which is a bullish sign. If you guys are in CT2A, watch the video we have on Heikin-Ashi. That video goes over all of this in a lot more detail than I can get into here. But the point is here is that this is a very bullish candle for Heikin-Ashi, and I am looking forward to seeing what this does. If Bitcoin does break bullish out here, that would be the beginning of a new rally, and we could say that that new rally started today with that Heikin-Ashi candle. Moving on from there, I do also want to show you guys the MACD out here on the daily chart. Very important stuff. As you guys know, Bitcoin's MACD did actually cross bearish yesterday, and today is the first bearish day here on the MACD that we've had in quite some time. We crossed bullish back over here at the beginning of May. It's now nearly the end. It's now nearly the end of May, and Bitcoin's had that bearish cross. But if Bitcoin does break bullish out here, that's probably going to be short-lived. If we break bullish, we're probably going to see that MACD line come back up here above the signal line and have another bullish cross here in the next couple of days, depending on how Bitcoin breaks and when it breaks and if it even breaks. But there is one thing I also want to show you, and that's the bearish case, or at least part of it. I've talked about the bearish case, so I'm not going to get into too much detail, but I do want to mention this, and that is that the 20 exponential moving average, again, there's a video on the 20 EMA and CT2A also, guys, a lot of value in there, an entire video dedicated to this one moving average. This moving average is very important, and it's coming up here right below our uptrend of support at the moment. If Bitcoin does actually break bearish out of this pennant right now, the stakes are pretty high, guys. The stakes are literally in space. Bitcoin breaking bearish here would mean the end of the rally that we've been watching here for the last 100 days. If Bitcoin breaks bearish, let me make myself very clear, out of this pennant, the Bitcoin rally that we've been watching since back over here on February the 8th, right here, all of this, that rally is over. That's basically just the way I call it. If Bitcoin is above the 20 EMA, we're in rally. If we're below it, we're not in rally. And if Bitcoin falls below this pennant, it's also going to fall below the 20 exponential moving average and be out of the rally. So guys, at this point, I think that there's a decent chance that Bitcoin breaks bullish out of this pennant, simply because if it doesn't, the rally is going to end. And it seems to me that the bulls are so crazy powerful that they can keep pushing us up to the moon that they don't want the rally to end. And maybe it will, maybe it won't. There's a good chance that we can break bearish, guys. We've been expecting some kind of pullback for a long time, and because of how bullish we are, it keeps getting pushed off. Maybe that pullback is now. But there's also a pretty good chance, in my opinion, that we do actually break bullish here, and one of the most compelling pieces of evidence for that is how much Bitcoin is testing this resistance. Like I said, guys, I've used this to my benefit when I've been trading a lot. When you're doing your technical analysis and you see Bitcoin come up and test their level of resistance over and 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 over, that was 10 overs again, then you see that that level of resistance is normally going to get broken. That's a very compelling piece of TA. It's not one I talk about a whole lot, but it's very, very important. I don't want to overstate that, but it's kind of hard to, because that's how important it is. Guys, I think you have an understanding of what's going on in Bitcoin now. I think you realize how bullish Bitcoin is. I think you have an understanding of where Bitcoin might be going if it breaks out. If/when Bitcoin does break bullish, we'll talk more about price targets then. But needless to say, I do think it's going to be higher than $8,400, and I do think it'll be higher than $9,000. I think it'll be lower than $10,000. That's all I really want to get into in today's video. Either way, guys, that basically does it for the technical analysis. As always, tell me in the comment section down below what you thought of that technical analysis. And also, this is kind of new, if there's anything you'd like me to cover in tomorrow's video. I want to start getting you guys giving me feedback about what you would like to see covered in future videos. So if you guys would like to see something on the Bitcoin chart covered in future videos, I'm not going to be able to do a full dedicated video on some niche altcoin, but if you have anything you want me to talk about on Bitcoin, like a concept, like an inverse head and shoulders pattern I'm missing, or some kind of long-term concept, tell me about that in the comment section down below, and we'll go ahead and integrate that into a future video. Anyway, guys, from here, we need to go ahead and dive on into the news, because we do have a couple of news stories to talk about. They're not very long, but they are very important. Social media giant Facebook is set to roll out its own cryptocurrency dubbed Global Coin in 2020, according to a report from the BBC. This is actually kind of funny that this is happening right now, because a couple weeks ago, someone posted in the Discord server a fake ICO for Facebook Coin, and I clicked it, and I looked at it, and I said, oh, Facebook, what, 800, 700, however many billion-dollar company is trying to launch an ICO for their coin? That's ridiculous. Facebook wouldn't have to do a round of funding through an ICO. They wouldn't do that. And then down here last month, there was a report that Facebook could be seeking to raise as much as $1 billion. But they're not doing an ICO, to my understanding. Essentially, what's going on here is as follows. The News and Broadcasting Organization said on Facebook on Friday that Facebook is planning to launch the cryptocurrency-based system in a dozen countries by the first quarter of 2020. That's not that far away. That's only like 9 months away. We have our little Facebook baby being born in early 2020, and is looking to start trials by the end of this year. Facebook has also apparently sought financial advice from the U.S. Treasury. Blah, 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 a bunch of jargon. You guys can go and read this on your own. This is something interesting, though. According to the FT, Facebook has also been in talks with both the Coinbase and Gemini. Gemini is the interesting one. Exchanges seeking to prepare third-party regulated platforms for users of its coin to store and exchange the asset. It cites two people familiar with the matter as the source of information. Guys, it's the 21st century. We can't ever get a name on our sources. We have to just go by it, but let's not get into that. Notably, Gemini is a firm founded by Mark Zuckerberg's old legal combatants, Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss. Yes, that's very interesting. But they also run a highly regulated exchange, Gemini, a factor that will likely appeal to Facebook, since regulation will be one of its key hurdles to the new cryptocurrency. Yeah, if you guys aren't familiar with the history Mark Zuckerberg and Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss have, go read into that. That's very interesting. I'm not going to get into it because there's a bunch of he said, she said, there's a bunch of allegations. But the fact of the matter is Mark Zuckerberg had to pay Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss a lot of money because of the Facebook debacle that happened in the early 2000s. They took that money and became ridiculously wealthy through Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market. Interesting stuff. I might make a video on it in the future because it is very important to the cryptocurrency ecosystem and Bitcoin's history. Not going to get into it in today's video. Do go read into this. It's very interesting what happened here. The entire Zuckerberg movie or Facebook movie or the Social Network, that's the name of the movie, was about that. It was partially about that. Anyway, guys, that's basically what we want to talk about here. Facebook is going to be launching its own cryptocurrency And that's a big deal. Facebook has, what, like 2 billion users? That's ridiculous. Facebook, I think, is an antiquated platform. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of its advertising platform. I've used it in the past, and it's really annoying. I'll give you that much. But at the same time, Facebook's a big name, and for them to have a cryptocurrency, that is a huge step for adoption. Speaking of huge steps for adoption, Facebook launching its own cryptocurrency is a big deal for awareness, but also for adoption when that comes out. But this is something that is actually going into effect right now. AT&T will now accept Bitcoin for your phone bill. If you guys are with AT&T, maybe you can start paying through BitPay. AT&T will take your Bitcoin. Of course, I'm sure anyone will take your Bitcoin if you try and give them enough of it. Bitcoin's path to mass adoption continues forward as major U.S. telecom giant American Telephone and Telegraph has announced that customers now have the option to pay their bills in cryptocurrency. Aren't I so smart that I know what AT&T stands for? SMRT, I am so smart. The addition of cryptocurrency payments makes AT&T the first major mobile U.S. carrier to offer this option. And Kevin McDormand, AT&T Vice President of Communications, Finance, Business Operations, that is quite the title, said this: "We're always looking for ways to improve We're always looking for ways to improve and expand our services, and we have customers who use cryptocurrency, and we're happy that we can offer them a way to pay their bill with the method they prefer." Currently, the cryptocurrency payments are limited to bill pay only, and AT&T did not specify whether customers will be able to purchase smartphones and other accessories online or in AT&T's brick-and-mortar stores. That did not specify this, but in a later report, as I understand it, that is actually not the case. This is limited to bill payment at the moment, so I did want to clarify that. Customers interested in making cryptocurrency payments can simply select BitPay as a payment option when they log into their accounts. And that's all we really want, guys. That's all we're really asking for in cryptocurrency, is that we're on the same level as the US dollar and whatever other local currency there is, where you have the drop down. Do you want to pay by PayPal? Do you want to pay by card, debit card? Do you want to pay by Bitcoin? That's what we want. We want that. We want to show up in the drop down menu. That's all we've been working for. Thousands of people in the cryptocurrency space have dedicated their lives to getting us in that drop down menu, and now we're finally getting it. A lot of good things happening in the cryptocurrency space. I mean, guys, we're not seeing tiny little companies moving into cryptocurrency anymore. It's not like, oh, yay, this one corner store has a Bitcoin ATM. Yay, big mass adoption thing. No, we have AT&T and Facebook stepping into the cryptocurrency space now. Bitcoin is no longer a baby. Bitcoin is now like 4 or 5 years old, guys. Bitcoin's about to go to its first day of kindergarten. Bitcoin is about to start meeting its first friends. Bitcoin is about to actually start its life. Guys, Bitcoin's been around for 10 years and 4 months. It turned 10 January the 3rd this year. Bitcoin is still a very young, very, very young entity that is worth nowhere near what it will be in the future. And now that we're finally seeing these kind of names step into cryptocurrency, the trust, the awareness, and all of the benefits that come from those major companies are going to start being put onto Bitcoin in the cryptocurrency market. When all these people are saying, oh, well, Bitcoin's a scam, Bitcoin's dangerous, Bitcoin's for money laundering, and then they see AT&T's accepting it, Facebook's making a cryptocurrency, ICE, one of the largest organizations on the planet, has something like BACT coming online. You see massive financial organizations like Fidelity, Van Eck, all of these companies stepping into the cryptocurrency space. How are all these doubters that are saying, well, Bitcoin's just a scam, going to be able to stand up to literally trillions of dollars worth of valuation in these companies putting their name behind Bitcoin? That is a major step for trust. It's a major step for adoption. It's a major step for Bitcoin in general. AT&T is not the first major corporation to accept cryptocurrency payments. That's what I was just talking about. We've seen a lot of other names: Overstock, Expedia, Subway, Shopify, Microsoft, all major names throwing their name behind Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Big, big deal, especially Shopify. I like saying Shopify. That's not really a consumer company, but that is another big one. Just a few of the major multinational corporations accepting cryptocurrency payments. And this is kind of funny. Here at the end, they talk about how some people aren't exactly over the moon for this. Some people aren't going to want to spend their hard-earned Bitcoin and their hodled Bitcoin on a phone bill, and I don't blame you. I'm not going to use this feature. Well, I have AT&T internet. I don't have AT&T phone bill. I use Verizon. But I wouldn't use this even if I could, because I want to keep my Bitcoin. I buy Bitcoin. I never sell Bitcoin. I never spend Bitcoin. I hodl Bitcoin. I'll spend it in 30 years when it's worth $1 million a coin. I'll do it then, but I'm not going to right now. I don't have any interest in using this, but the fact that it's happened anyway is a major step for adoption, because it's this kind of stuff that is eventually going to slow down the volatility in Bitcoin and make Bitcoin a viable currency, because it's kind of hard to use Bitcoin as a currency when one day a chocolate bar costs $1 and the next day it costs $3, because Bitcoin varies so much. This kind of stuff is what's going to help first bring Bitcoin to the moon, up to those 6 and 7 figure valuations, and then after we're there, it's going to be able to stabilize them so that Bitcoin doesn't fluctuate as much and Bitcoin can actually be used as a proper payment. This is really starting to look good. I've been in the cryptocurrency space nearly 2 years now. I'm very happy with the way this is going. This kind of stuff was not happening when I got into the cryptocurrency space. Just in the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of these companies moving into the space. I'm very, very stoked to see what's going to happen over the next 2 years and on into the 2020s, guys. Tell me in the comment section down below what you think of today's video. Do you think Bitcoin is about to break bullish here? As we can see, this little move that we were talking about earlier today very well may be getting rejected right now, and that's okay. Bitcoin might come down here and then break bullish later on. It doesn't really matter when it does it, but at this point, I think Bitcoin's probably going to break bullish. We'll see what happens. I do like that Bitcoin's been trading against this resistance, but tell me in the comment section down below where you think Bitcoin is going to head. Do you think it's going to break bullish? Do you think it's going to break bearish? And also tell me in the comment section down below anything you'd like me to cover in future videos. I can always use some assistance coming up with ideas, considering I make a video every single day. Sometimes it does get a little difficult because I feel like I've covered everything. If there's anything you want me to cover on the Bitcoin chart or otherwise, let me know in the comment section down below. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.